Dale, vato. We're trying to see that product. Yo, Sleepy, what's up, homie? You know my cousin, Sad Boy.
I think you got the wrong guy, Holmes.
Everyone's saying the barrio Sleepy, he like the Mexican Wolverine.
From a surprising and optimistic update from Channing Tatum to the missed opportunity of the 23 Jump Street and Men in Black crossover, we've got everything you need to know about the upcoming 23 Jump Street. Let's dive in. Channing Tatum recently opened up about the potential for 23 Jump Street, discussing whether the third movie will ever make it to production. The original 2012 comedy, a reboot of the 1980s police procedural drama, followed two friends who joined the police force and returned to high school to bust a drug operation. Starring alongside Jonah Hill, Tatum's hilarious and self-aware film led to a sequel, but plans for a third movie and various spin-offs have faced numerous development hurdles since 2014. In an interview with comicbook.com, Tatum reflected on past attempts and current attitudes towards 23 Jump Street. While he loved the script for the third movie, studio politics and decision-making have kept the project stalled for years, despite his and Hill's eagerness to bring it to life. Tatum shared his thoughts. "There's a project that was written, and it's still the best script I've ever read for a third movie. It's just a lot of bureaucracy, kind of above-the-line stuff. It's really hard to get it made, and we've been trying to get it done. You know what? I'm going to put some good juju out there and say I would love to see 23 Jump Street. I would love to do it with Jonah, and I know Jonah wants to do it too. We would love to just get to go play again." With that being said, is now the best time for 23 Jump Street after 10 years? Well, considering studios are struggling to recoup their budgets on recent blockbusters, revisiting the series with a budget closer to what the first two movies had, combined with 21 Jump Street's signature meta humor, could easily charm an existing audience. Despite the financial success of both 21 and 22 Jump Street, attempts to produce a follow-up have faced delays or cancellations. Alongside a third installment, a 21 Jump Street and Men in Black crossover titled MIB 23 and a female-centered movie titled Jump Street Now for Her Pleasure were in development, though the former was eventually canceled. Additionally, a spin-off movie revisiting Brie Larson's character, Molly Tracy, was confirmed to be in development in 2023, but no updates have been issued since. While over a decade has passed since 22 Jump Street was released, both creative and audience interest haven't waned, and the lengthy hiatus could easily play into a new movie. The franchise isn't short of meta-nods to both its inspirations and the industry, such as the dialogue poking fun at reboots and cameos, and the second movie featuring a credit sequence highlighting dozens of fake sequels and spin-offs. If the delayed 23 Jump Street were ever to develop, it could aim for legacy sequels with its comeback as an older Schmidt and Jenko return to mentor a new generation. Regardless of whether 23 Jump Street revisits the script that charmed Tatum or a new one is written, there is active interest in the franchise returning. With studios facing difficulty recouping their budgets on recent blockbusters, revisiting the series with a budget closer to what the first two movies had and using 21 Jump Street's signature meta humor could easily charm an existing audience. As the film industry continues to evolve, perhaps Schmidt and Jenko could make a comeback even after all this time, should the interest be noticed. Now, let's dive into the missed opportunity of the 23 Jump Street and Men in Black crossover. I'm still bummed out that this crossover never happened, especially since it was supposed to happen years ago. When 21 Jump Street hit theaters in 2012, it was a huge hit, making waves at the box office and getting rave reviews. Its sequel did just as well, so it seemed like there were big plans for the franchise. Rumors about a crossover with Men in Black hinted at even more exciting things to come, but unfortunately, the idea was scrapped, and it's a real letdown. Channing Tatum recently shared that the script for 23 Jump Street was still the best script that I've ever read for a third movie, which only adds to the heartbreak of knowing it never came to be. With 22 Jump Street ending with hilarious fake sequel ideas, it felt like a third movie was a no-brainer. Sadly, the series has been on hold for a decade, and the missed chance to pair it with Men in Black makes it even more disappointing, considering it was already in the works years ago. The crossover between Jump Street and Men in Black would have been fantastic, Both series feature unlikely investigators who don't fit the usual detective mold, so blending their worlds would have made for a comedy goldmine. Even though they come from slightly different eras, their humor would have worked perfectly together. I still get a kick out of both series, and it's hard to imagine them not shining when combined. The contrast between the Jump Street films and Men in Black would have made the crossover even funnier, with Schmidt and Jenko facing off against aliens alongside the seasoned agents. Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum have great chemistry that could work in any setting, and adding Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones to the mix would have been mind-blowing. Their different vibes would likely gel perfectly, creating one of the funniest modern comedies. It's a real shame we never got to see Agent J and Agent K team up with the Jump Street crew for a truly unique cinematic experience. The MIB-23 crossover could have been a game-changer for both franchises, potentially saving them from fading away. It's been over 5 years since either Jump Street or Men in Black released a new movie, and the cancelled crossover seemed like the last chance to keep the momentum going for both series. Even though it might seem a bit absurd to see Tatum and Hill returning a decade later, their comedic chemistry would have made it work, with their older, more mature characters still delivering the same goofy humor. Pairing up with the Men in Black universe would have allowed the Jump Street duo to leave their high school disguises behind, which makes sense plot-wise and opens up new comedic possibilities. The crossover could have breathed new life into the Jump Street series, setting the stage for more creative crossovers or even bigger adventures. It might have also prevented the misstep of Men in Black International, which didn't quite hit the mark with audiences. Despite avoiding a box office disaster, MIB International didn't capture the magic of the original films, and bringing back Will Smith could have done wonders. Instead of focusing on that film, a crossover with Jump Street could have revitalized the franchise, appealing to both old fans and new viewers. It's a real shame that this crossover never happened, as it would have been a brilliant move that benefited both series and kept them relevant in today's movie landscape. Even though the Jump Street and Men in Black crossover seems unlikely, Channing Tatum's recent comments give me a glimmer of hope, and I'd love to see it come to life. Both franchises are fantastic comedies with unique premises, and their humor really resonated with audiences in their respective eras. Sure, comedy films have evolved since the last hits from these series, but a mix of nostalgia, sharp writing, and great performances could still make this crossover a laugh-out-loud success. If all 4 leads were up for it, the chemistry between Tatum, Hill, Smith, and Jones would make for a surreal and entertaining experience. The idea of swapping partners and throwing in some chaotic moments sounds like a recipe for comedy gold. Plus, with both franchises having memorable supporting characters, bringing back some classic faces would add an extra layer of fun. Just imagining Captain Dixon Ice Cube reacting to Schmidt and Jenko taking on aliens is something I absolutely need to see. Even though it's been a while since this crossover was proposed, I'm holding out hope that it might get the green light in the future. It could be a huge hit and a fantastic addition to both series' legacies.